Yes, we'll go for topic number 3.4. It's dealing on the core competency content, which means you as an organization, you do a business. What type of business you do? Obviously, I'm involved in the business to sell a product or to provide a service. The same, you are also doing it, okay? But how am I going to sell the product? What is rare in me? Which means நான் பண்ணலாம் உங்களால பண்ண முடியாது. Okay. You may call this as non-imitation work also. There's a small difference saying rare and non-imitation. Okay. I need to have some capability to sell my product. What is that capability and how I'm going to build that capability is what you call as the competency and core competency. Please take this as two words. One is core and another word is competent. So competent means capable. This capability should be your capability. That's why we call this as core capability. So core competence. So how the resources and the capabilities are forming or taking their or placing their role in building this core capacity, core competencies are there. So actually this actually calls this a synergy effect also. Why we call synergy effect means it is one core competency, your product will be highly developed. There's another one core competency, your product will be highly developed. It's now both the core competencies put together, your product is very highly developed. For example, because we have taken Mahindra and Mahindra, one core competency, cost is somewhat comparatively low compared to Innova, Toyota, and other cases. Not only that case, luxury also matters here. That stylish look, the colors, and other things and all. Not only that, it is completely indigenous, made in India. You check only the cost, it is having a different capacity. Check only the luxury, it's having a different capacity. Check only about the Make in India concept, you have a different capacity, but all put together, it's highlighting the whole three capacities. If you take this as 100%, 100%, and 100% separately, you put all these capacities together, you'll get 400%. Maximum this is what you call a synergy effect. 100 is not 300%. All the three are interlinked, so you get more benefits out of that. That's what we call as the synergy effect. So we are focusing on this type of synergy effect. You can say this concept is developed by these two persons, C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hamel. So they use in management theories and somewhat strategic management is also related to management theories also. So we are utilizing this one. So probably if I talk about the organization, we have to collectively talk about the organization, what's the production skill involved and how they are integrating all the multiple streams of technology. Maybe now we have this AI and all, okay. Probably combination of technologies might be involved or managerial know-how, wisdom and experience, all should be taken for comparison or for making the synergy. Let us go for defining what do you mean by competency. Okay, let me go word by word. If necessary, I'll go word by word. Okay, is defined as a combination of skills and techniques. Please highlight rather than individual skill or separate technique. You should not talk about a single department when you talk about competency. Probably, if you are talking about the resource and capabilities put together, you have to check all the resources, the raw material. Again, if you talk about Mahindra and Mahindra, raw material, Mahindra makes its own steel. Okay, so that's one capacity. Employees is Mahindra and Mahindra has good base and it's not leaving the employees. Why? You remember I was discussing one case. Mahindra and Mahindra is giving the ESOP shares. Did I discuss? Employee stock ownership shares, ownership plan. Here from the job floor employee to management. Everybody are getting the shares in management is director's employer. So everybody are getting the ESOP shares. Okay. Usually organizations blue collar jobs employees ESOP but Mahindra and Mahindra ever in India history first company to give ESOP for the job floor employees. Job floor employees so if you read the caption, it looks like this way. From sweeper to director. They are getting the ESOP shares. So it's not leaving its charm. Mahindra and Mahindra is not leaving its charm. So when you talk about the core competency, we have to talk about the combination of the skills and technologies. As a whole, you have to talk about, as a whole you have to talk about, so you should not talk about separate individual capacities. Probably if you talk about the whole organization, See, each and every department will be having a different technology. Okay, different technology may be used, different source may be there, different highlights or skills will be there. You have to pull all the individual objectives and other things, capabilities and other things, so that you can get it. So, the optimal way how you can define the core competency is to consider as a sum of 5 to 15 areas. Please highlight that this may be helpful for practical case problem. ஒரு ஏரியால மட்டும் இருக்காது. 5 to 15 areasல developed expertise knowledge will be there. You have to combine everything, and if you combine, what effect you will get it? Synergy effect. Okay. So according to these two persons, Prahalad and Gray, they say major competencies are identified in three areas. Okay. See, 5 to 15 areas are identified, but major core competencies, almost all the organization will focus in these three areas. One is how you are going to differentiate, because you have to sustain in the competition. See, you build core competency, only main intention is to gain competitive advantage. Okay. So how far are you going to differentiate from the competition side? And second one, please highlight that you have to create value to the customer. Okay, நீங்களா ஏதாவது பண்ணிக்கிறது இல்ல. The is it value, extra value added to the customer's product? And third one, application to other market also. Yes, this is a unique one. That's why we call this a synergy effect. Not only you apply here, you apply it with a different market also. See, probably again we talk about Mahindra, and Mahindra are not deviating much from Mahindra. Okay, so let me stick to this cases only. If you talk about Mahindra and Mahindra, Mahindra has this background of making jeeps. They back history போயிடுங்க jeeps. Apart from this, we have this utility vehicles, defense vehicles. Okay. Apart from this, passenger vehicles. But now it is importing e-vehicles. Okay. Probably now you have this GST reforms, recent updations on GST reforms. Almost like the 1.5 lakh to 3 lakh amount of GST is now reduced. So Mahindra and Mahindra is now selling in a less rate because no need to collect GST from us. Okay, it's having a different impact. Okay, so when we talk about Mahindra, it was earlier with jeeps and utility vehicle, defense vehicle, and other passenger vehicle. Now it is involved in SUVs and e-vehicles. Okay, so competitive differentiation is one of the main three conditions. So we'll go one by one. First one is a competitive differentiation. So you can consider having a core competence if it is. When you say we are different, if you are unique, and not only that, you can make it. See, if you can make it, you're working under the same economic condition. If you can make it, why the competitor could not make it? Even the competitor can make it, but he should make later. If you make a different thing today, the competitor should make in another 1 week or 10 days. He should not make tomorrow itself. Other market. Okay, so that difficulty should be there. You cannot say it's completely not imitable. There is imitability because they are operating in the same environment, but you need to have that difficulty in imitation. So அதனால கொஞ்சம் லேட் ஆகுது. So usually when a company provide products and services, they will have this fear. Whether the competitors will do the same job, you should not have the fear. When you will not have the fear, when it is unique and difficulty is more. Okay, degree of difficulty also depends. Okay, so probably competency does not necessarily have to exist within one company. Probably in order to define core competence, normally it happens, and also if you are operating in the same market. So it is quite difficult to imitate patented innovation. Yes, because we go as per the law. If you go for patented innovation, probably we follow the law. We have to check all the infringement rights and all. So it goes over. So first one done. Second one, condition is to meet the customer value. So when I, as a customer, purchase a product or I hire a service, what I check whether this product is satisfying me. Okay, it can be anything. Shampoo or soap or probably sometimes it will not, we may not be knowing immediately. Use panna தெரியும். That's different. Okay, so what is the benefit it's giving to the end customers? Okay, it can be any industry, not only FMCG, it can be pharma industry also. And the service or product you have provided is creating a real impact on the customer because they have the reason why they are choosing your product. உங்க ப்ராடக்ட் வாங்க இன்னொரு பிராண்ட் ப்ராடக்ட் வாங்காம உங்க ப்ராடக்ட் ஏன் வாங்குறாங்க? You need to give the reason, right? So if you're not giving the reason, then it's waste only. At the essence that the customer should value, the differentiation should be offered. They need to understand why this brand and why not that brand. And the third condition is what? Application of competencies to other markets. See, when we say organizations, the whole organization's capability, we say the individual of the summation of the individual capacities. Okay. When we say individual capacity is there, one individual capacities market and another individual, not market, department's individual capacity and another individual capacity may not be highlighted together. If you interlink, you may get a synergy effect. So we have to sum up all the specified areas of expertise. So that's about this line. So some special capabilities would be essential or crucial. It's not fundamental from the whole organization point of view. Please highlight this line. It may not be considered, it is not fundamental for the whole organization point of view. If you are working only for particular one department, then why it's the, see, you're talking about the strategy making, crafting of strategy for the whole company, for the whole organization. But you talk here about only one particular department, is then is no use. Then it's not unique. When you say unique, when you say it's difficult, it should be for the whole organization. So when you say core competence, it's a unique set of skills and expertise which will be used throughout the organization. Please highlight. This may be helpful for practical problems to open up potential markets to be exploited. If all these conditions are met, then you can say this is your core competency. Core competency, probably, if you go for this example, Hindustan Unilever marketing and sales, how it is doing it. Probably, if you talk about Mahindra, I'm not going for Hindustan Unilever. If I talk about Mahindra, as we were discussing, the teaser, so media marketing, digital marketing. So that is one highlight. Okay, and the core competency for Walmart is also given, lowering its operating costs. You can also refer that. Yes, we'll go for now defining what do you mean by core competency. Already we have defined core competency is something which is applicable for all. Here we say core competency is the knowledge, the skill, the facility. Let me go word by word. Please focus. It can be a knowledge, can be skill, or can be facility necessary to design and produce core products. Please highlight. What is your core product? See, we were saying till the earlier para, depending on the three conditions, we were saying the core competence should be for the whole organization. But now they give a different definition saying that when you talk about the knowledge, skills, and facilities you are using means it is helpful for designing your core products. That is considered as core competency. ஏன்னா 10 ப்ராடக்ட் பண்ணனா 10 ப்ராடக்ட் யூஸ் ஆகுதுன்னா அது என்னோட பிசினஸ் இல்ல. Like LG has divided its mobile business. So, which is my core product? So, the very important thing is you have to identify which is your core product. That's the challenging task. Okay. So, we have to identify your core product and those knowledges, skills, and facilities which are necessary for designing that core product has to be considered as the core competency. So, how do you create this? Okay, by superior integration of technology, not only that, physical, human resources, and they represent distinct skills because it has to be unique. Okay, distinct skills, probably it can be tangible, intangible, or invisible, or intellectual, or cultural capabilities also. When we talk about cultural capabilities, what do you mean by cultural? It's not about socio-cultural we are talking about. We are talking about organization culture. Organization culture follow பண்றோம்ல அதை பத்தி தான் பேசுறோம். So how far you can manage, what's the ability to learn, and what's the teamwork? So usually when we focus on 5 to 15 areas, we think this core competency as a bundle of few core competencies, each supported by several individual skills. Again, if you talk about Mahindra and Mahindra, you have heard of this person, engine man? Compare engine man now. Because he is developing many models of SUVs. Engine man. Engine man of Mahindra. Engine man of India is the start. Different models of start. Also, just have a glance on this person, engine man. He has given different quotes and all, how he is utilizing his skill and all. Okay. So when we talk about core competence based diversification, it goes for reducing risk. Please highlight. We have concentric diversification, conglomerate diversification, but when we talk about diversification, along with the core competency, definitely is going to reduce the risk and investment, and obviously it will increase the opportunities. Okay. The nature of core technological competence is also corporate assets, as the assets they facilitate corporate access to a variety of markets and business. So generally we call this nature as corporate assets of a business. Now let us go for what are the things we have to check while you build your core competency. First one, you check how far it is valuable. Is it creating value? Please check whether it's creating value, which means valuable capabilities comes from exploiting the opportunities and averting. Averting means what? Reversing the trends. ஐயோ மஹேந்திரா வந்து எஸ்டிவிஸ் எக்கச்சமா பண்றானே அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு டொயோட்டா பயந்தானா அந்த பயத்தை வந்து மாத்தணும். ஓகே, ப்ராபப்ளி டொயோட்டா மே பி திங்கிங் மஹேந்திரா வந்து இந்தியாவில தான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கான். நம்ம ஏன் பயப்படணும்? நம்ம வேர்ல்ட் வைட்ல இருக்குமே. ஓகே. அந்த மாரி பார்த்தா, how far you are going to treat this threat? ஓகே. ஒரு மார்க்கெட் ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் வந்ததுன்னா நிச்சயம் த்ரெட் தான் கட்டாயம். ஓகே. So probably Toyota might be thinking Mahindra is occupying the position is coming as a giant passenger vehicle for India. Na, we are losing that market, Indian market. And இப்போ இருக்கிற எக்கனாமிக் சுச்சுவேஷன்ல இந்தியா மார்க்கெட்டை வந்து நீங்க யூஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னா யூஆர் யூசிங் அ பிக் சேலஞ்ச் இருக்கும். ஓகே. எல்லாருமே இந்தியாவில தான் பிசினஸ் பண்ணணும்னு நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க. A firm created value for customers by effectively using capabilities to exploit opportunities. So valuable means they are directly dealing how we are going to exploit the opportunity and avert the risk. So they are talking in these two angles. And obviously, when you talk about values, we have to talk about human capital because when we talk about customers, we are talking about human capital. Okay. Next is should be rare. உங்களால முடியுதுன்னா உங்களால மட்டும் தான் முடியும். It should be rare. Okay. So rare capabilities and very few competitors will possess. See, there may be thousands and thousands of players in the market, but is your direct competitor, direct rival. He might be facing this problem. He might be operating in the same environment, but only he possesses and you possess. அப்படின்னா என்னது இது rare ஆகும். So that's defining your competition. Okay. So competitive advantage and results probably are exploiting the value capabilities and all. Next is yes, it should be easy, not sorry, it should be difficult to imitate. And one difficulty is because it's costly. ரொம்ப காஸ்ட்லியா இருக்கனால imitate பண்றது கஷ்டம். It will take a lot of time to develop that. Time தானே வேஸ்ட் ஆகுது, காஸ்ட் வேஸ்ட் ஆகுதுன்னா no, it's not that way. If you talk about time can be directly related with money, cost. Okay, so costly to be imitating. Okay, then it should be not substitutable. Yes, please highlight. They should not have strategic equivalence. இதுக்கு பதிலா அது இருக்கவே கூடாது. Okay. So when we talk about Tata's low cost strategy, surely they were not able to duplicate Tata's success at all. Okay, substitute that may be related to product or that may be related to capability also. Here, when we talk about this one, we are talking about capabilities, not about product, substitute product of the business. We are talking about product capability. Okay. Because of that, that one now probably Mahindra and Mahindra is not going to have a product, capability substitute because it's using indigenous materials. Okay. So they are giving a full sum up here. What do you mean by core competencies? Probably they are giving an example with respect to Actel making a zero customer complaint zone. Okay, the complaint வராத மாதிரி மேனேஜ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. Even I can strongly talk about Amazon, Flipkart. அவங்களெல்லாம் ஒரு மார்க்கெட்ல சஸ்டெயின் ஆகுறாங்கன்னா immediately see you buy a product and you want to replace it or you want to return it, ஈஸியா பண்ண முடியுது. அவ்வளோ கஸ்டமர் சப்போர்ட் இருக்குன்னா because they value the customer. Okay. எல்லாருமே எல்லா விஷயமும் சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை ஆக மாட்டாங்க. If you go for another platforms, what is the platform? Myntra. Heard of Myntra? Heard of Myntra? Myntra வந்து almost so many customers have placed the request and almost 1.5 lakh customers have not got the reply. They are not getting any reply and the product exchange பண்ண முடியல. So they are having so many complaints. And அந்த ரிட்டர்ன் பண்ணோம் இல்லைன்னா கேன்சல் பண்ணோம்ல அந்த அமௌண்ட்டே வந்து I'm talking about 1.5 lakh customers I'm talking about. அவங்க நார்மலா ஒரு 100 ரூபாய் பிளேஸ் பண்ணியிருந்தாலும் எவ்வளவு ஆகுது காஸ்ட், அவ்வளவு அமௌண்ட் ரிட்டர்ன் ஆகலாம். ஸோ மிந்த்ரா இஸ் நாட் சக்சஸ்ஃபுல். பட் இன்னைக்கு ஒரு நியூஸ் பார்த்தேன், மிந்த்ராவோட குவார்டர்லி ரிப்போர்ட் வந்து ஹை ஆகுது ப்ராஃபிட் வைஸ். We are in the end of September, right? Second quarter ல இருக்கும். So if you see the second quarter results, you'll get everything. It's almost like some 15 or 20 days remaining to finish this quarter. இப்போ வந்து மிந்த்ராவோட ப்ராஃபிட் வந்து some 10% டிக்ரீஸ் பண்ண மாதிரி காமிக்கிறான். பட் எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு மிந்த்ரால வந்து அந்த அளவுக்கு இல்ல. Why I'm talking is I'm comparing with Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, Meesho, Nykaa, website எல்லாமே கம்பேர் பண்ணி பார்க்கும்போது சொல்றேன். Okay. So that's about 3.4. Can you please go through or let me finish 3.5 also. SWOT analysis பார்த்துக்கோமா நம்ம already? You have done SWOT analysis? Okay. So what do you mean by SWOT analysis? Because let's say discussion is not there, only a half-page discussion. That's why I complete this one. So when you talk about SWOT analysis, S stands for strength, W stands for weakness, O stands for opportunities, and T stands for risk. This O and T are covered as external, W and S are covered as internal analysis. Okay. So even though we are talking, this heading ours is on internal, we have to focus on both. Okay. So we are considering all these, and then my primary objective is focusing on SWOT analysis means we are going to get the full awareness. Please highlight of all the factors. Okay. Probably how the company is implementing any actions, how it is considering the opportunities, how it is planning, and how it is altering also. Everything will be considered. So SWOT analysis can be used as a widely business toolbox. So for current landscape and all, we are performing this one. So let me go for this picture directly. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. If you talk about strength, please focus in this way. If you talk about strength, along with the opportunities available in the market, it can be helpful to achieve that objective of your organization. But if you talk this way, weakness and threat. உங்க weakness ஆனா market அது threat இருக்கு. Probably technology change. Some speed technology change is there. But your organization is not keeping up to that mark. So obviously what happens? It's being an harmful one. So this angle over. Now go for this angle. Internal origin. Your strength and can it be a weakness? Or a point on the probably if I talk about Mahindra and Mahindra, this is your strength. Can you say this is a weakness? ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரென்த் எப்படி வீக்னஸா இருக்க முடியும் மே நாட் பி நவ் மேபி டுமாரோ அகைன் மஹேந்திரா அண்ட் டாடா சி ஸ்ட்ரென்த் இஸ் மை ஸ்ட்ரென்த் weakness is your weakness. Don't think strength and weakness are my own. See, we were discussing this Ford and Toyota. You remember Ford and Toyota? When Toyota was having a plan to introduce in US market, already Ford is a giant over there. அப்போ ஃபோர்ட வீக்னஸ் என்னது அது நம்ம ஸ்ட்ரென்த் தான் பார்க்கணும். Okay, so internal origin attributes to the organization. Whereas if you talk about opportunities and threats, is probably Mahindra and Mahindra is growing. That's an opportunity for Mahindra and Mahindra. At the same time, it's a threat for Toyota because it is going to, or else it's like a challenge that it might be losing the Indian market. அப்போ மஹிந்திரா ஸ்ட்ராங் பொசிஷனா இல்ல டெஸ்லா வந்து ஷோரூம் ஓபன் பண்ணிட்டான் இந்தியாவில். ஒன்லி ஷோரூம் ஹஸ் கம், நோ மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் டன் இன் இந்தியா. முடிஞ்சா அதை செக் பண்ணி பாருங்க. டெஸ்லா ஹாஸ் ஓப்பன் இஸ் ஷோரூம் பட் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் எங்க பண்றாங்கன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா இட்ஸ் அவுட் ஆஃப் இந்தியா தான் பண்றாங்க. ஸோ ஆப்வியஸ்லி த கார் ஹாஸ் டு பி ப்ராட் இன்சைட். அப்போ காஸ்ட் வந்துடும், கஸ்டம்ஸ் டியூட்டி வந்து. ஓகே, இஃப் த Tesla is planning to open its manufacturing unit in India now, obviously the car might be reduced, price will be reduced, and it will be competing directly Mahindra. Mahindra அப்பதான் நீங்க யோசிச்சு பாருங்க. ப்ராப்ளி பயங்கர கிரேஸா இருக்கும் மஹேந்திரா காசு. கொஞ்ச நாள் கழிச்சு அதே கிரேஸ் இருக்குமா? என்ன இருந்தாலும் நம்ம ஊருக்காரு ஒரு ஃபாரின் சாக்லேட் சாப்பிடுவோமே. இட் ஹேப்பன்ஸ் ரைட். எனக்கு என்னன்னா ஒரு கெத்து காமிக்கணும்னு வரும்போது ஓ டெஸ்ட்வா இன்னும் ஒரு just note பண்ணிக்கோங்க. Probably we are in September, in another 3 months or another 6 months or 1 year period, எங்க பார்த்தாலும் மஹேந்திராவா இருக்கும். ஓகே, அப்போ ஒரு பெரிய கிரேஸ் இருக்காதுல்ல. இப்ப எங்க பார்த்தாலும் மஹேந்திராவுக்கு ஒரு கிரேஸ் இருக்கு. இன்னும் கொஞ்ச நாள் வந்து ரோட்டுக்கு ஒரு 10 மஹேந்திரா 15 மஹேந்திரா ஒரு சந்தகம் போகுதுன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கலி நாட் ஹேவ் தட் கிரேஸ். படிக்கிறோம் அது. அப்ப என்ன பாப்பீங்க? வேற பிராண்ட் காரை பார்க்கலாம், இன்னும் ரியல் லக்ஸரியை பார்க்கலாம். ப்ராப்ளம் இந்த லக்ஸரி வந்து லோ காஸ்ட்ல கிடைக்குது, நம்ம என்ஜாய் பண்ணுவோமே. ஒரு ஷர்ட் வாங்கி போடுறீங்க, எவ்வளவு ரூபாய்க்கு வாங்கி போடுறீங்க? டோன்ட் டேக் இட் பர்சனல், ஒரு 500 ரூபாய்க்கு வாங்கி போடுறீங்க. 500 ரூபாய் போட்டுட்டே இருக்கீங்க. ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷன் வருது, மெயின் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ஃபங்க்ஷன். ஓகே, வி ஹவ் பிகம் அ சிஏ, அவார்டுக்காக போகணும். அப்ப சொல்லுங்க 500 ரூபாய் வாங்கி போடுவீங்க? ஓகே, நான் சிஏ, என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? Okay, see, it's not suitable for everyone. See, not only for getting the award, you're going for a function. இல்ல ஒரு ஸ்பெஷல் ஒகேஷன். அப்ப என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? எப்பவுமே 500 ரூபாய் ஷர்ட் தானே, ஒரு 1000 ரூபாய் ஷர்ட் வாங்கி போடுவோமே. இப்ப என்ன? ஓகே, திஸ் டபுள் த அமௌண்ட் டசன்ட் மேட்டர் ஹியர். ஃபார் வாட் பர்பஸ் யூ ஆர் பையிங் a shirt? நமக்கு வந்து எப்படி இருக்கும்னா கொஞ்சம் காஸ்ட்லியான ஷர்ட், ஒரு காஸ்ட்லி லக்ஸரியை போடும்போது we feel that comfort and we feel that confidence. ஓகே, ஒரே ட்ரெஸ் போட்டு சிங்கர் அகாடமி வரதுக்கும் ஸ்பெஷல் ஒகேஷன்ல சிங்கர் அகாடமி வரதுக்கும் டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்கு. Okay, so that's about this content. So definitely there'll be a change. So as of now, it looks like a strength, but in later period, that might be a weakness for you. Okay. And SWOT analysis example here is with respect to law firm. Okay. So how the multiple partners are there and what is it? Probably we may refer directly Mahindra and Mahindra. Instead of we just take it for another day. Okay. Can take it for an. So SWOT analysis for internal or external, it's for both. Okay. You say internal, actually you are going to merge the factors. Internal factors தனியா பார்க்காம, external தனியா பார்க்காம, you'll go for merging the factors. So you identify which is controllable and which is not controllable and utilize. Actually, not much in detail for SWOT analysis. So in the மட்டும் பார்க்கலாம், then in detail we'll go later. So So this picture is on Mahindra and Mahindra. Uh, Actually, when you go for defining the strength weakness in all the four angles, usually you go in a grid way, okay, grid column way. If you talk about the strength, see it's given in green color, so that's your main core. That will be helpful for building a core competency also. You have to have the dominant market share. It can be anything, but if you are having a dominant market share, means yes, that's a big highlight. Maybe that's your core strength. And we are talking about Mahindra and Mahindra, it's a core strength. Diversified business portfolio. See, my major business is tea, but even though I'm talking about jeeps, passenger vehicles, and all other way, buses and other way, truck vehicles, or all other ways, I have different market segments for my business. Okay, different customers and different market segments. And strong leadership and execution capability should be there. Is obviously Anand Mahindra is playing a very high highlighted role. If you go for weakness, higher proportion of debt in its capital structure. If you go for debt equity ratio, we can find it. So I'm not going in detail. Dependency on monsoon impacts the agriculture segment. So if you talk about Mahindra and Mahindra agriculture side, it becomes seasonal like. So that's one drawback. Okay, opportunity growing demand for electric vehicles is trying to compete with Tesla. Okay, and strategic partnership and acquisitions are there. Yes, the நிறைய MOU ஓட enter ஆகுது இப்போ இசுசுவோட மேஜர் ஸ்டேக் ஹையர் பண்ணிச்சு லைக் 50% மேல வந்து இசுசுவோடது அவங்க கிட்ட தான் இருக்கு ஓகே rural rising rural income yes obviously for and government pushing for agricultural reforms is there is a big opportunity okay trend increasing competitive intensity, technological access will be there. That cannot be avoided. See, that threat is not only for me, that threat is for everybody means yes, everybody will be ready to face. எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் delay ஆகும்னா அவனுக்கு தான் delay ஆகும். Okay, so that's all there. Okay. So just a highlight one. Okay. The next heading is a comprehensive topic on how you're going to define the strategy. And Michael Porter has given an idea how we can define the strategy. Okay. So probably can you some go for some pages later uh, where you can find this grid? Please try to understand. He has given. Actually, he started with two angles in defining how the strategies can. One, he was focusing on cost alone. Okay. See, when you say cost, my intention is not to give in cheaper price. Okay, not reducing the cost. Okay. He talks about cost leadership planning. The cost of fix பண்ணனா அது நான் தான் முதல்ல fix பண்ணதா ஆகணும். Okay. And one angle is how he is differentiating his product. Probably of size or color or structure or based on features or even on cost also. So this was a major two strategy defined by Porter. While defining these two strategies, he was targeting the market in a wider sense. Okay. After that, he started targeting the market in a narrow sense. And in the narrow market, he was giving both preference for cost leadership and differentiation strategy. So this is about the matrix. So major two generic strategies. One is cost leadership and another is differentiation. Both these strategies are targeting only the broad market, the wider sense. Whereas if you go on focused cost leadership and focused differentiation, it was targeting on the narrow target, narrow market. Okay, probably before continuing, let me go for another one grid where you can find it almost at the end of the heading, end of the topic. Please try to link that table and this table here. Try to understand what's the difference between that one and this one. This is the actual five generic strategies will be provided by him. So let me have both the tables, both the clips for comparison. That will be helpful for discussion here. Please try to join. Please join. See, when you talk about, see, earlier we were discussing about this one, right? Michael Porter's generic strategies in 2 plus 2 angle. Okay, first two is that cost leadership and differentiation, focusing the broad market, okay, broad target. Whereas if you go for focusing particularly with respect to cost leadership and focusing particularly with respect to differentiation, now it looks like four different strategies are there. Actually, it's not four different strategies. Mainly, we have only two strategies. Because if the market is differing, the narrow market and the broader market, it looks like as if it's like a two by two cell. Okay. So this is focusing on narrow target. Okay. But probably if you go for this feature, it's a low cost product services with respect to cost leadership and differentiated product services with respect to differentiation and cost differentiation, focus differentiation. This is the important one. You consider all the four. Okay, please pay note here. You consider all the four. First is cost leadership strategy. Overall, we are focusing on what? Low cost leadership focus. Because this is our cross section of buyers. If you go for the buyer's point of view. Because as a buyer, what I think, I have to get it in a low price. Okay. Go for differentiation, broad differentiation strategy is there. Okay. If you go for a narrow buyer segment, probably you'll go for a particular market niche. As we were saying, we have the particular market segment in the market audience and the product வாங்குவாங்க இந்த மாதிரி customers and the product வாங்குவாங்க. So that is what you call as a market niche. Okay, you focus on focus low cost strategy and there is focus differentiation strategy for companies. But there is one highlighted strategy called as best cost provider strategy is not lowering the cost alone matters. You fix the cost, obviously, try to lower the cost, but don't try to compromise with respect to the size. Okay, don't compromise with respect to the quality. Without any compromising, you give the best cost provider strategy. And this will be focusing on all the four angles. Okay, this is the highlight. This fifth strategy is the highlight of Michael's water path. But anyway, we are going to start from the theory content. First, we'll go at this angle only. First, we'll talk about cost leadership. Then we'll talk about differentiation. Then we'll give a small intro on what do you mean by focusing. Then we will split this for cost leadership and differentiation. Then at last we'll end up with what was the fifth one? Best cost provider strategy. Okay. For each and every content, we'll go for advantages, we'll go for disadvantages. It's a normal theory content. Okay. Advantages, disadvantages, limitations, everything will be considered. Then this strategy will be helpful, etc. etc. Okay. Okay, so with this intro, let me go for the content. Michael Porter's generic strategies. So sometimes it might be in a need that I have to go word by word. Okay, so kindly bear with me. So sometimes I may go in a proper speed. So if you talk about generic strategies, most of the strategies are given by Porter. Okay, Porter's 5 forces 10, Porter's generic strategy. So Porter is playing a very important role in this strategic management. What he thinks is, kindly bear, I have to go word by word, it's quite important. What he thinks is, when you talk about defining the strategy, you have to define that you have to craft the strategy in such a way it's gaining competitive advantage. And here he is discussing in three different bases. Okay. See, usually I say it's either take it as 2 plus 2 plus 1 or you take it as 2 plus 1 where this one has 1 and then 1, which means this is focus. Under focus, you have cost leadership and differentiation. Okay, so he is giving in three different bases. One is cost leadership, and one is differentiation, and another is focus. That's why he called this one as base generic strategy. You can use this word for as vocabulary content. Okay, example, the terms one this one. Why he calls this as generic strategy means each and every organization, whatever your product is, whether it's pharma or whatever it is, you have to follow this generic strategy. Okay, that's why it's quite highlighted. And he's talking about these three different bases, and he calls these three strategies as base generic strategies. These are termed as generic vibe because for any type of business, any size of business, even for non-profit business, this will be helpful. When you go for cost leadership, the first base, he's not saying this as strategy. He's calling this as a base for the strategy. Okay. When you go for cost leadership, he's focusing on standardized products. Please highlight. See, some products will have standardized norms where you can provide it at a very low cost per unit for consumers who are price sensitive. See, this is not applicable for everybody. Still, we are working in broader market. It's not applicable for everybody. யார் வந்து செலவு பார்த்து பார்த்து பண்ணுவாங்க. See, not everybody has spenders. Even you might be earning in lakhs and lakhs, but not everybody has spenders. Please try to understand. Okay, இது வந்து கொஞ்சம் எத்திக்கலா போகும். Okay, I may be earning in lakhs, but I buy a dress only for 200 rupees. தூக்கி போட்டு இருக்கு அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறோம். Okay, so for price sensitive consumers, definitely this is a need. Okay, see, at a very low cost per unit. Okay, and when we use this cost leadership for standardized products, why you say standardized product linked with this content is when you say standardized product, you say I can make it in bulk. பெருசா டிசைன்லாம் ஒன்றும் இல்லை. ஓகே, பெருசா ஒன்றும் தேவையில்லை. என்ன வேணுமோ அது பேசிக்கான விஷயங்கள். Okay, so that's it. Then second one, differentiation. It's not standardized, but you have to give some uniqueness in the product. Customers are the who are relatively price insensitive. Please highlight. First is completely price sensitive. And the products of the nature FD standardized. Here, price insensitive because I'm going to pay 50 rupees extra. No worries. 50 rupees extra I'll pay because the product is unique. And that type of character. Probably the love on the customer mindset which is not designed for normal. That's why they say as generic. And third, focus. Yes, even though price insensitive, I may be in a need of I may be having a very specific taste, and this will be fulfilling only small group of customers or consumers. Okay, I'm planning for a big event. Upon a very plan for okay, I'm planning for a small get together with my family and friends. I think very much plan for okay, so small group of consumers is having a different specific taste. I have to focus on them. Okay, so quota strategy imply different organizational arrangements, control procedures, and even the incentive system. Probably large firms with having greater access to resources typically compete on cost leadership and or differentiation basis. These highlights helpful for practical problems. Practical problems like ABC Company Limited as a CEO, as a strategist, we have to help them or advise them or guide them. No? Can take the help of this one. He's focusing on large firms, not only large in size. He's having that firm is having greater access to the resources. Second condition, and they want to compete on cost leadership and or differentiation basis. They can do so. But whereas when you talk about smaller firms, you can go completely with respect to focus basis. So this is the one we discussed earlier. Let me continue. So it's giving stress on the need for strategies of why we need to talk about cost benefit analysis and how we are going to evaluate the sharing opportunities. So it's not normal. Okay, I'm not going line by line. Let me go for cost leadership strategy directly. It's a low cost competitive strategy focusing on broad mass market. This is a major two feature of this strategy. It requires vigorous pursuit of cost reduction. Please highlight. One unit of an item to be provided at very low cost means what? Your main intention will be not cost control, cost reduction. Okay, there is usually when we talk about cost reduction, simultaneous thought comes to your mind whether I'm going to reduce the cost or control the cost. No, we are not talking about cost control, we are talking about cost reduction. Probably if you are merging cost control also and this one means there is fine, no issues. Okay, probably how are you going to reduce the cost? In areas of procurement, that's about cost reduction. Area of production, area of procurements, production, storage, distribution of product, and also economics in overhead cost. Overhead cost means why we need to have a showroom, why we need to have intermediate data sale. Okay, that can be done. And because of this lower cost, the cost leader, please highlight, can apply the strategy in their industry. That person will be called as a cost leader. And he is able to charge a lower price for this product than most of the competitors and still earn satisfactory profits. Please highlight. Now, the strategy use for profit satisfactory profit. We are not talking about break even. at least the profit. See, ultimately, you see, you want to compete in the market, you want to gain good goodwill in the market. Okay, no profit is not an issue, but this is not the case over here. Cost leadership, and you're not talking about no profit case. We are talking about earning at least satisfactory profit. Okay, this is a very important point. So there is an example with McDonald's and Decathlon, so you can just go through later. And the primary reason why we go for this one is sometimes we go for integration, right? Forward integration, backward integration, horizontal integration. The main advantage of this one is everything will be under my control. Amala, Mahindra and Mahindra vehicle is here. Who is providing the raw material? Mahindra itself is providing the raw material. Backward integration. Okay. How it is supplying directly? Nane passenger vehicle, nane vehicles, nane panikiran. Okay, it's there in the market directly now. So it's in forward integration. It's not supplying for any other automobile industry and manufacturing the cars and SUVs and all. Okay. Likewise, horizontal integration also we have. Okay. What is horizontal integration? In Mahindra and Mahindra, purchase a major stake in Isuzu. Isuzu கிட்டத்தட்ட SUV மாடல் தான் அது கொஞ்சம் டிசைன் தான் ரீப்ளேஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னா அந்த Isuzu அந்த மாடல் ஆனா you have seen Isuzu, right? So it gains cost leadership benefits. Generally, it must be pursued in conjunction with differentiation. Please highlight. It's not you cannot see this separately. We have to link this with differentiation. That's why we say cost leadership is directly dealing with cost. Differentiation may be dealing with product also. Sometimes it deals with cost differentiation also. But shouldn't have a difference coming in. That's also maybe highlighted. So there have been number of elements which may be attractive, including economics and diseconomies of scale or whatever it is. Okay, that's a big list. You can just go through. R&D cost may be there, whatever it is. Energy cost, tax rates. It's complete list only. All the economic factors and diseconomic factors. Okay. So when we want to be a low cost producer, it has to be effective means we have to check how many price sensitive buyers are there, and that is the market. Even though it's a broad market, you are focusing on whom? Price sensitive buyers. And then there are few ways to achieve product differentiation. This is with respect to differentiation. Probably when we talk about differentiation, sometimes it happens. We have to go brand to brand. Okay, who are the buyers over there? How is their power in bargaining? Remember the Porter's five forces model? We have five forces. Bargaining power of the buyer is also one of the forces. அப்போ அவங்ககிட்ட பவர் இருந்துச்சுன்னா நீங்க கட்டாயமா குறைச்சா மட்டும் தான் உங்களால வந்து காம்படிஷன் நிற்க முடியும். You can sustain in the market. Okay, that's also again a problem. And when this cost leadership strategy is successful, usually it permeates the entire firm, which means what? It highlights or gives more thing to the firm by high efficiency, lower overheads, limited perks, intolerance of waste. It's obviously என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க காஸ்ட் ரெடியூஸ் பண்றீங்களா வேஸ்ட் ஆகக்கூடாதுன்னு பாப்பீங்களா a minute. Okay, budget requests wide span of controls, rewards linked to cost containment, broad employee participation in cost control efforts also will be considered. And also you might be having some risk in this. Probably when you are using it, why can't I use it as a competitor? I'm also operating in the same environment. I can do it. Therefore, it might be at one point of time where your process will be required. Sales might have reduced. Okay, that's one major risk over here. And also because of the technological breakthroughs, because of technology becoming absolute, obviously you have to define a different strategy. How can you achieve this cost leadership strategy? You prompt, forecast properly what is your product and service having in the future, what's the demand over there, and whether it's possible for you to achieve the advantage using the resources what you have. Talking about optimal utilization of resources. The critical resource of so in that way. And economies of scale also, because when we talk about lowering the cost per unit, obviously you have to lower the fixed cost. Lowering the fixed cost goes with higher standards of production, higher quality of production, standardization of products, and invest in cost saving technologies, and resistance to differentiation also will be there. Sometimes we have to consider ரொம்ப differentiate பண்ணதுக்கு standard நாலஞ்சு ப்ராடக்ட் மட்டும் முடிச்சிடுவோம். So that also has to be considered. So we have totally 6 points where you can achieve cost leadership strategy. Now we'll go for advantages. Yes, when you go for cost leadership strategy, many was thinking that I cannot get profit, but the strategy is not reducing the profit. The strategy is with respect to reducing the cost. Okay, so in that sense, it will be your strategy. Because of this, your company will still remain profitable, even with rivalry, even with high competition. It will be still profitable. Beautiful content. Probably all the five forces model. Because this rivalry is there and new entrants, supplier power. In the strategy, another costly. So definitely will be sustained. So all the 5 points will be discussed. The portrait of model then our strategy, our discuss malana. So all the 5 forces are discussed. I'm not going line by line. Then yes, there are some disadvantages also because when the competitors start imitating, obviously they are also following this one. Obviously, my profit will go down. It's not going to be a cost leader strategy then. And it can succeed only if the firm can achieve higher sales of return. Yes, please highlight. Sales இல்லைன்னா எப்படி வரும் ப்ராஃபிட் கன்சிடர் பண்ணவே முடியாது should achieve higher sales volume is not possible and they keep their cost by minimizing cost of advertising market research is this a disadvantage if you are not properly see cost கட் தானே பண்ணோம் ஓவர்ஹெட்ஸ் எல்லாம் என்ன இருக்கு அட்வர்டைஸ்மெண்ட் கட் பண்ண தெரியவே தெரியாது நீங்க இருக்கிறீங்கன்னே தெரியணும்ல அதுவே தெரியாம போயிடும் so market research if not done properly if you are not spending on R&D means definitely now it will look like cost reduction but later they are going to something so market research and R&D and all okay because it's becoming expensive most of the organization வந்து R&Dக்காக எக்கச்சக்கமா ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க அது ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணனா the market வந்து நீங்க சஸ்டெயினா இருக்க முடியும் and technological advancement is also there so ரொம்ப absent பிரச்சனை ரொம்ப can you please go through one strategy is over one base so we'll go for next content the second base generic strategy is on differentiation directly let me go for Domino's Pizza. Actually, Domino's Pizza when started its business in India, let me discuss one impact. The beginning of the SM session, it introduced organic product. I think it's தேவையில்லை. Okay. And along with this, the marketing strategy followed by Domino's was it was offering home delivery within 30 minutes. You order a pizza, it will be delivered at your home, at your doorstep within 30 minutes. If not, you need not pay for the order. It's free. Okay. Actually, this was the unique selling. It was differentiating from its rivals. Just forget Flipkart, just forget Amazon and other e-commerce platforms and all, whether it's GeoMart or whatever it is. Earlier days, who was supplying the provisions and other things at doorstep? If you try to recall, Domino's Pizza was the very first one. And Domino's still is obviously highlighting with 30 minutes delivery and all. That's also a unique feature. Okay. So when we talk about Flipkart, yes, if I order today, I'm getting in 2 days. Amazon, if I order today, I'm getting in 2 days. Okay, what's highlighted over there? இப்போ யார் ஆர்டர் பண்ணாலும் 2 நாள்ல ஹாஃப் அன் ஹவர்ல கொண்டு வந்து தராங்க தட்ஸ் நாட் த பிக் இஷ்யூ ஏதாவது இஷ்யூ இருந்துச்சுன்னா ரிசால்வ் பண்றீங்களா அதுதான் இஷ்யூ okay that's why we have to think whether we can order or not okay. So let me begin here this strategy is obviously focusing on broad mass market and involves the creation or of a product or service that's perceived by the customers as unique. Please highlight. This is a major difference between cost leadership strategy and this strategy. When we say cost leadership, unique வேண்டாம் எப்படி இருக்கும் எனக்கு see price insensitive இருந்தாங்கன்னா differentiation will be good. Price sensitive இருந்தாங்கன்னா this is better. Cost leadership is better. Okay, you have to be very careful. The uniqueness can be associated with what? Product design or because of brand, I'll buy it. Because of that features, I'll buy it. Because of technology, because of dealer network also. The easy access பண்ண முடியும் supply chain management or also by after sales and customer service. So because of this differentiation, what do? You charge 1 rupee extra. That 1 rupee is meant for premium. Beautiful concept. But there is one big drawback. You cannot exactly say drawback is a marketing strategy or doing business is taken here. Differentiation is not guaranteeing competitive advantage. Essentially, if standard products sufficiently meet customers' need or rapid imitation is done, means you have to be very careful. And also goes with durability. How far it will be durable. Okay, so that also has to be considered. Probably, if you want to be successful in using this base generic strategy, you have to be greater flexible in your product. Flexibility coming from product line. You can go for good night liquidators. Coil, matte, then what? Flash, good night flash, the button மேல இறக்கி கீழ இருக்குது. So many things are brought within a sequence of period of time. Okay. Greater compatibility, lower cost, improved service, less maintenance, greater convenience, and more features. So product development is an example of strategy that offers the advantages of product development. So when we talk about differentiation, ultimately we are focusing on development. See, differentiation is not only focusing on product, Also, cost differentiation is there, but it's especially focusing on price insensitive buyers. Okay, along with product, you have to worry about cost also. So, should be pursued only after a careful study of buyers' needs. Please highlight. இதெல்லாம் நம்ம பண்றோம் பண்ணிடும். See, probably if you talk about sugar, earlier and all, if you go to a supermarket, if you go for a normal provision store, we can see sugar packets. Okay, whether it's Parry or whatever the brand is, எல்லாம் லூஸ்ல கிடைக்கும். ஒரு பெரிய மூட்டையில வச்சிருப்பாங்க. அதுல இருந்து எடுத்து போட்டு வர வேண்டியதான். Okay. Now we are very cautious about organic, healthy, health wise. White color இருக்கக்கூடாது சுகர்ல. அப்ப கலரை பார்த்து brown color போடும். Okay, brown sugar. Else, jaggery, powder jaggery. எல்லாமே இதுல மாறிட்டோம். You go to a sweet shop, you buy sweets not having white sugar content. You buy sweets with respect to என்னது கருப்பட்டி ஹல்வா எக்ஸெட்ரா இந்த மாதிரி மாறிட்டே போகுது. ஸோ நாங்க சக்கரை சாப்பிட்டாலும் இப்படிதான் சாப்பிட்டோம், சுகர் சாப்பிட்டாலும் இப்படிதான் சாப்பிட்டோம். ஸோ பையன்ஸோட நீட்ஸ் என்னன்னு பாருங்க. Just go for the preferences also and what customer is having about the features attributes, then discuss accordingly. Okay. Please highlight this very important line. A successful differentiation strategy allows a firm to charge a higher price for its product. Okay. Higher price for its product, and also not only there, please highlight to gain customer loyalty because customers become strongly attached to the differentiated features. Okay. So some special features will be available in almost every product. நீங்க சின்ன toothbrush வாங்கினாலும் சரி, shampoo வாங்கினாலும் சரி, useful இருக்கும். Okay, everyone will be having some advantages. So that may be of service or spare parts availability or engineering design or product performance or useful life, gas mileage, or how far I'm comfortable in using that. Everything matters. Okay. Packet, chips packet. ரொம்ப local example போவோம் ஈஸியா புரியுற மாதிரி. சிப்ஸ் பாக்கெட் பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? யூ ஹேவ் அ ஜிப்லாக். பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? ஜிப்லாக் வேற இருக்கேன். ஒரு சின்ன வீல் மாதிரி இருக்கும், அதை புஷ் பண்ணலாம். ஜிப்லாக் இருக்கும். ஆர் தெர் வில் பி பிரஸ் லாக். சிப்ஸ் பாக்கெட் ஓபன் பண்ணிட்டு காலி பண்ண முடியலன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். Then you can have that press lock and you can consider later period. Right? It's a mother's Okay. இருக்கு. So let me go for window shopping. Blind dates me, okay. First, I saw this in A to B now. Okay, இங்க இருக்கு பாருங்க. Can you find it? Masala chips. சாப்பிட்டே வளர்ந்துருக்கீங்க போல இருக்கு மேம். மனசுல நினைக்கிறீங்க தெரியுது. எஸ் உங்களுக்கு நான் என்னெல்லாம் பண்ண வேண்டியதா இருக்கு பாருங்க. யூஸ்வலி ஐ won't have sweets and chips and all. பிடிக்காது. டயட்னால டயட்டுக்கெல்லாம் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்றதுன்னா அது ரொம்ப ரேரான விஷயம். யூஸ்வலி ஐ டோன்ட் லைக் chips and all. Okay. See, some will have this habit. என்னதான் ரவுண்டு கட்டினாலும் லாஸ்ட் அந்த ஊறுகாய் வச்சு சாப்பிடுவேன். Some will have this habit. Some will have that with the sweets சாப்பிடணும். நிறைய ஸ்வீட்ஸ் சாப்பிடுவாங்க. எக்கச்சக்கமா சாக்லேட்ஸ். I don't have that habit. Okay. See, if you go for this packet, you'll have this ziplock like where you can carry it and you can press it. Okay. This banana chips. Can you find it? One single line மாதிரி இருக்கு பாருங்க. அந்த இடத்துல pressing இருக்கும். You can open it and you can press it and consume later also. Okay. இதனால நான் கொஞ்ச நாள் வந்து A to B chips வாங்குவேன். Main reason is, see, if I open it, that crispiness will go off, will go away. Crispiness question or other chips. Crispiness is not chips. That's all. Correct? Okay. So, ease of use. Yes, that's very important. இதுக்காகவே நான் வந்து ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ரா 5 ரூபாய் இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்லன்னு வாங்குவேன். Okay. Yes, there will be a risk associated is that the unique product may not be valued high enough by customers. Only because of higher price I have to pay. And definitely I'll be looking after this, right? So that's a very big drawback. And firms must find durable resource of weakness. How far I can lay out. Durable means I get the resource today. Will I get it tomorrow? Very lame. Okay. So Amazon Prime and all. So basis of differentiation, how can I differentiate? By product. How can I differentiate? So I have to go for proper R&D and all. So cannot going word by word. Also by price. This please highlight. When you talk about price, you cannot fix a very high price. The customer should sense that this higher price is I'm getting satisfied with the product. The ideal value for the product, please highlight. Okay. இவ்வளவு விலை கொடுத்து நான் வாங்குறேனே, am I satisfied? As I was saying, for A to B shifts, I'm paying some 5 rupees extra. What's the need for 5 rupees extra? Yes, எனக்கு லாக் பண்ணது ஈஸியா இருக்கு. Which I can consume tomorrow or 1 week after later also. I can do it. பட் இதே வந்து நான் நார்மல் ஒரு சிப்ஸ் கடையில போயிட்டு ஒரு பேக் பண்றோம். I go for a sweet and savor shop. I buy a chips. ஒரு பெரிய டப்பால போட்டிருக்காங்க. அதுல இருந்து வாங்குறேன். அங்க ஜிப் லாக் இல்ல. நான் வாங்க மாட்டேன். நீங்க வாங்குவீங்களான்னு தெரியல. நான் வாங்க மாட்டேன். I'm going to personal. Okay. I'll not buy because I'm not going to consume the day which I purchase it. Sir. I have to store it. எனக்கு அது கஷ்டம். நீங்க கேட்கலாம் மேம் ஏன் வீட்டுக்கு ஒரு டப்பால போட்டு வைக்க மாட்டீங்க மேம் போட்டு வைக்க மாட்டேன் அவ்வளவு சோம்பேறி நானு ஏன்னா எனக்கு சிப்ஸ் பிடிக்காது சோம்பேறி விட ஐ ஹாவ் டு செலக்ட் அ பாக்ஸ் அந்த பாக்ஸ் வந்து கிளீனா இருக்கணும் டைட்டா இருக்கணும் இதெல்லாம் எனக்கு தேவையா ஒரு 5 ரூபாய்க்கு பார்க்கணுமா அதுக்கு 5 rupees extra and yes I have to check whether this is ideal value I'm ready I'm price insensitive right I'm ready to pay 5 rupees or 10 rupees extra but is this ideal chips நல்லாவே இல்ல அப்ப நான் வாங்குவேனா தேவையில்ல chips நல்லா இருக்கும் my product should be valuable apart from that this 5 rupees extra should give additional value okay and organization yes probably we have the maximizing power it's your brand yes you buy it okay and obviously location advantage so when you talk about organization you have to consider everything goodwill and other thing name recognition brand value customer loyalty also plays a very important role everything has to be considered okay yes shall I take over how this differentiation strategy can be achieved. So we'll discuss in 3 angles. Actually, we're discussing 4 angles. One is the basic introduction. How we are going to achieve this one. Okay. Then we'll go for advantages. Then we are going for disadvantages. We are talking in 4 angles. Okay. So this is the second heading, achieving differentiation strategy. You check whether you are going to offer the utility to the customers and match the products. Because they are ready to pay me, so you have to match their taste. Okay, match their taste and preferences. And elevate and improve performance of the product, offer the high quality product. Yes, you have to go for rapid innovation of the products in the dynamic environment. You take steps to enhance your brand image and fix product prices based on the unique features. இதுக்கு ஒரு 5 ரூபாய் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா போடுறேன் அதுக்கு ஒரு 10 ரூபாய் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா போடுறேன் வை okay again let me go for sweets காரம் பேசிட்டோம் இப்போ ஸ்வீட்ஸ் பத்தி பேசலாம் we have visited Krishna Sweets main branch of main head office of Krishna's in Coimbatore. கோயம்புத்தூர்ல தான் எல்லா இடத்துலயும் சப்ளை ஆகுது and Coimbatore branch the head officeல மட்டும் தான் they are making the full sweets அங்க தான் எல்லாத்தையும் ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபர் பண்றாங்க it will come in flight and carbons okay கோயம்புத்தூர்ல இருந்து the chico after all 4 to 5 hours difference they prepare over there everything will be packed and will be brought over here Krishna Sweetsனாலே ஒரு sweet highlight ஆகுமே ghee மைசூர் பாக் okay நிறைய பேர் என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்னா கீ மைசூர் பாக் வந்து கோயம்புத்தூர்ல இருக்கிற அளவுக்கு வந்து இங்க அந்த அளவுக்கு ஃபிளேவர் இல்லைன்னு சொல்றாங்க ஓகே லெட் இட் பி மை இன்டென்ஷன் இஸ் நாட் டாக்கிங் அபௌட் கீ மைசூர் பாக் ஐ அம் ஃபாண்ட் ஆஃப் திஸ் பாதாம் ஹல்வா ஓகே யூ ஹேவ் டேஸ்டட் பாதாம் ஹல்வா நிறைய பேர் அங்க போனாங்கன்னா கீ மைசூர் பாக் தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ப்ரிஃபரன்ஸ் ஓகே why I'm talking about badam halwa is again so many drama if I buy this badam halwa 100 grams ஒரு கியூட்டான பேக்ல தருவோம் பாத்திருக்கீங்களா காயத்ரி விண்டர் ஷாப்பிங் பண்ணுவோமா இதெல்லாம் படிச்சீங்கன்னா எஸ்எம் பயங்கர இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்கா இருக்கும் See, நல்லா இருக்குல்ல the container itself is so attractive if you hold it in your hand see you're going to have a very small quantity of halwa see you go to a hotel you ask for a sweet என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க 50 grams 100 grams I think this is 50 grams or 100 grams okay see this is a very small container and you have a very small spoon over there ice cream மாதிரி வெள்ளமா இருந்துச்சு அவங்களுக்கு ஓகே எனக்கு எப்பயாவது ஸ்வீட் சாப்பிடணும்னா இதுக்கப்புறம் வாங்கிட்டு இருக்கிறேன் ஒன்னே ஒன்று தான் வாங்க ஓகே பிகாஸ் ஸ்வீட்ஸ் பிடிக்காது ஜஸ்ட் ஃபார் டெம்டேஷன் ஐம் கோயிங் டு ஹேவ் ஸோ ஒன்னே ஒன்று வாங்கி சாப்பிட்டுக்கிறது நல்லா இருக்குல்ல இஃப் எனிபடி விசிட்ஸ் ஹோம் யூஸ்வலா அந்த மேரேஜ் இன்விடேஷன் ஆர் சம் ஃபங்க்ஷன் இன்விடேஷன் இஃப் தே கம் ஃபார் ஒன்லி ஃபார் கிவிங் த இன்விடேஷன் பர்பஸ் எல்லா இடத்துலயும் காஃபி டீ ஸ்வீட்ஸ் காரம் ஐ பை திஸ் ஒன் அவங்களுக்கு தட்டில வச்சு தர மாட்டாங்க அது இன்னும் ரொம்ப கொடுமையான விஷயம் டப்பாவோட கொடுத்துருவேன் நீங்க சாப்பிட்றதா சாப்பிட எடுத்துட்டு போங்கட்டு ஸோ ஆ நெறைய பேருக்கு இந்த தாட்ஸ் இருக்கு. எம்மா வீட்டுக்கு போனா பேக் பண்ணிட்டு எடுத்துட்டு போலாம். தப்பாலாம் நினைக்காதீங்க. பேக் பண்ணிட்டு எடுத்துட்டு போங்கன்னு சொல்லிருவேன். See, you cannot have it today. And this is packed where you can consume for another 1 week or 10 days. வீட்ல பசிக்கும்போது சாப்பிடுங்க, சாப்பிடும்போது சாப்பிடுங்களேன். அதனால மேக்ஸிமம் வீட்டுக்கு யாராவது வந்தா இந்த மாரி பேக் பண்ணி குடுப்பேன். நல்லா இருக்குல்ல. அதெல்லாம் எங்க வீட்டுக்கு வந்து உட்கார்ந்து சாப்பிட்டு தான் போகணுமா? தேவையில்ல. Okay, you should have the comfort. Whether it's the relatives or நம்மளோ. So இந்த மாதிரி இந்த container, if possible, try once. It's a very small container where it will fit your palm. கையில வச்சு அழகா சாப்பிடலாம். பெரிய டப்பா மாரி எல்லாம் இருக்காது. அண்ட் அந்த ஸ்பூன் ரொம்ப அழகா இருக்கும். குட்டியா இருக்கும். ஓகே. அந்த ஸ்பூன் அப்படியே வாய்க்குள்ள போற மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஹல்வாவோட சேர்த்து. அந்த அளவுக்கு குட்டி ஸ்பூன். Why I'm saying is that adds flavor to the halwa. ஓகே. ஸ்பூன் இருக்கான்னு பார்ப்போமா? ஆமா. Okay, no issues. So அவங்ககிட்ட சொன்னேன் ஸ்பூனோட போடுங்கன்ட்டு. Okay, fine. So let me continue. So what is the unique feature and what's the buying capacity? Yeah, this is also to be noted down. What's the buying capacity of the customer? Whether they will buy because of this. Okay. So advantages. Again, we have to discuss the advantages along with five forces model. So go for rivalry, buyers, bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of the not bargaining power, threat of entrance and theft of substance. Okay, discuss all the five points. That's it. And disadvantages in long term, can you be still unique? No, I cannot say. Probably I may not be unique in the long term. And sometimes you fix a price, you say that price is insensitive for the buyers, you fix a price and you're charging too high price. உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது ரொம்ப ஹை ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பீங்க அது குவாலிட்டியா தெரியும் பட் இட்ஸ் நாட் கோயிங் டு பி ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல் ஓகே differentiation pays to work if its basis is something that's not valued by the customers if they're not valuing okay home delivery of packed snacks in 30 minutes இருக்குப்பா எனக்கு ஈவினிங் கொடுத்தவங்க போகும் Domino's pizza the freshness 30 minutes delivery yes is accepted home packed foods in 30 minutes. See, if I'm in dire need, immediate வீட்ல கெஸ்ட் வந்திருக்காங்க எனக்கு சிப்ஸ் வேணும் நான் வெளியில போக மாட்டேன் ஆர்டர் பண்ணி ஓகே இந்த மாதிரி நான் வீட்ல கெஸ்ட் வந்திருந்தாங்க என்ன பண்றதுன்னு தெரியல திடீர்னு வந்துட்டாங்க அப்படியே அவங்க கிட்ட பேசிட்டே வந்து மொபைல் ஆர்டர் பண்ணா ஸ்வீட்ஸ் ஐ திங்க் ஹால்டிராம்ஸ் ஐ ஆர்டர் பேக்டு ஃபுட்ஸ் 30 மினிட்ஸ் வந்து வச்சு கொடுத்தேன் வந்து பேக் பண்ணி கொண்டு போயிட்டாங்க நான் தான் சொன்னேன் எப்போ மாதிரி தான் வாங்குவேன் ஸோ 30 மினிட்ஸ்ல எனக்கு வருது பட் இட்ஸ் பேக்டு ஸ்நாக்ஸ் தான் ஐ எம் நாட் கோயிங் டு கன்சிடர் அபவுட் த ஃப்ரெஷ்னஸ் Okay, so why I need to worry about it? So that's about the major drawback. Okay, so everybody will not be willing to pay the price for this because for 30 minutes you're going to pay extra. Okay, I may not be in need in this one. Okay. So as I was discussing this badam halwa, that small pack. Now already I just analyzed this one another customer. He came. பார்த்தாரு கணக்கு கட்டுப்படி அதாவது வச்சுட்டு போயிட்டாரு that 100 grams may be considered one person. See, if all 10 members are coming to my home and I'm going to hospital, இதான் பண்றது கவனிக்க சொல்லுவாங்களா உபசரிப்பு சொல்லுவாங்களா ஓகே ஹாஸ்பிட்டாலிட்டி ஓகே உபசரிப்பு சொல்லுவாங்க நீங்க யோசிச்சு பாருங்களேன் ஈவன் அ ஸ்மால் கிட் ஐ ஹேவ் டு கிவ் ஒன் டப்பா ஈவன் அ சுகர் பேஷண்ட் ஐ ஹேவ் டு கிவ் அ ஒன் டப்பா கணக்கு கட்டுப்படி ஆகாது இது வந்து நான் நினைக்கல அங்க வந்த கஸ்டமர் வந்து கட்டுப்படி ஆகாது போல இருக்கு இதே வந்து இஃப் ஐ பை இட் இன் லாட் 10 people come. I split it as small cakes or small scoops like I can eat. அப்போ அது எனக்கு கட்டுப்படியா அப்போ நான் யோசிக்கிறேன்ல எனக்கு கட்டுப்படியாகும் இன்னொரு கட்டுப்படியாக பேசுதானே ஓகே நெக்ஸ்ட் focus on the two angles cost leadership and differentiation please highlight the very first line it depends on the industry segment there is of sufficient size has good potential growth and not crucial to the success of other major competitors. If all these three features are satisfied, then you can go for focus strategy. இப்பதான் நான் பிசினஸ்குள்ள வந்திருக்கேன் ஐம் ஜஸ்ட் ட்ரைங் டு க்ரோ தென் ஒய் ஆர் ஃபோக்கஸிங் ஆன் த ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜி எல்லாருமே உங்க கஸ்டமர்ஸ் தான் அப்படி திங்க் பண்ணா மட்டும் தான் நடத்த முடியும் Now I'm in the industry, probably I'm holding some position, may not be a dominant position. I'm holding some strategic position. Then obviously I'll be having a good growth potential. Obviously, now I have grown in a sufficient size and it's not crucial to the success of other major competitors, which means what? There are other competitors, how far they are treating me. அவங்க என்ன ட்ரீட் பண்றது தான் இருக்குல்ல okay my success is not playing a major role for them no then it will be differently treated So probably you will go for market penetration. So you know market penetration, right? New product for existing customers, or you go for market development, new product for new customers. Obviously, we have to go for focusing in these ways. Okay. So mid-size and large size firm can effectively pursue this one. So not helpful for small size. They are not having sufficient size. Okay, customers base they have to generate and have so many things. So only firms they can generate itself with lowest cost, and the remaining firms in the industry must find other ways to differentiate. Okay. They are most effective when customers have distinct preferences or requirements, and when the rival firms are not attempting to specialize. That was the third feature. See, the success is not crucial for other major competitors because I'm focusing on that target market, okay, on that narrow market. So this is very important now. Rival firms are not attempting to specialize in the same target segment. அப்போ அங்கேயும் அவன் பண்றான் நானும் பண்றான் அந்த differentiation strategy Okay. So risk of pursuing a focus strategy includes possibility of numerous competitors, recognizing the successful focus and how far they are imitating. Everything has to be considered. Okay. So you may concentrate on particular group of customers, a particular geographic market, or particular product line, or how you're going to well serve in the market. Probably I'm making the same product, but when it comes for customer service, after sales service, I'm the top one. Again, that's the highlight between Flipkart and other cases. Customer service எவ்வளவு support பண்றாங்க. Okay. So from this, we'll be focusing two angles. One is focusing on the cost leadership. The same what you understood in cost leadership has to be dealt here. அங்க வந்து எல்லா customers இங்க வந்து என்னது? See, எல்லாரும் customers, but price sensitive customers. இங்க எல்லாரும் customers, but I'm focusing only the narrow market. Okay, not the full customers. So forest strategy does not necessarily charge the lowest price. Please highlight. There, in cost reduction, we were lowering the prices for per unit. Here, actually, the intention is not to lower the price. Instead, it charges low price relative to other firms. Please highlight. நான் எங்கேயும் யாருமே கம்பேர் பண்ணல. I'm just reducing the overall unit cost of the cost leadership. I'm comparing my product with the rival's product and accordingly I'm lowering the price. Now it's focusing cost leadership. Please highlight ரொம்ப important இது because உங்களுக்கு practical case studyல வந்துச்சுன்னா you have to be very clear in identifying whether this is cost leadership or focus cost leadership. You know, the fifth இதுக்கு பாருங்க best cost provider strategy. It will have a small differentiation over there. சின்ன வேரியேஷன் தான் ஓகே ஸோ firms that compete based on price and target and narrow market follow a focused cost leadership. Okay, so you have to check with competition angle. Cost leadership and differentiation is checked with growing angle. Now you have grown, you're competing. Then you have to check with cost leadership and other angle. Okay. Then we go for cost focus differentiation requires offering unique features that fulfills the demands of the narrow market. Okay, you're going to differentiate and narrow market is there, the same thing. So narrow markets you can define in different ways, in different settings. Probably you can talk about channels, how I go for online supply or Domino's pizzas, 30 minutes delivery is Mahendra's teaser, whatever it is, such as selling over the market and all. Okay, so Rolls Royce sells limited number of high-end custom built cars. So it's differentiating its products. Every high-end cars first, and customizing the high-end cars second one. Usually customization ரொம்ப rare now. Okay, and achieving cost focus strategy. So when the question is about focus strategy, now you have to write both focusing cost leadership and focusing differentiation. You have to write both. Okay. Select a specific niche. Link இருக்கும்ல and that should not be covered by cost leader and differentiators. Please highlight. If you check something related to cost leadership and differentiation strategy, means it will not be covered under focus. Okay, so அந்த niche இருக்கும் அந்த niche வந்து அதுல இருக்காது அதுல இருந்துச்சுன்னா அது அதுல போயிடும். Okay, and create superior skills because you are working in the niche market. Niche market there will be a special link. That's what you call as niche, and you generate high efficiency and develop innovativeness. Okay. Advantages of focused strategy: premium price can be fixed, yes, obviously, and there'll be tremendous expertise knowledge in the goods and services. Probably when you talk about the five forces, you can sustain it. Okay, so now five forces will affect panama, you can sustain. You have to make it difficult to compete with respect to five years. Disadvantages. See, in the earlier heading, we were discussing all the five forces. They say that need not because you're going to highlight it. It's going to be a highlighted one. Okay. Disadvantages. You need to have distinct competencies. If you are not distinct competencies, this narrow target market is not for you. Yes, please highlight the second one. Due to the limited demand of products or services, costs are high, which can cause problems. Third, in the long run, the niche could disappear. May be a niche today, may not be a niche tomorrow. Okay. You are having a distinct competitiveness that is having a niche in the market, but this distinct competitiveness it fades away in the future. Obviously, this niche also will fade away from your market. That's all again a problem. Okay. Yes, can you please go through till here? So, best cost provider strategy. We have discussed this grid already, but still I want to go for a small recall because we have the knowledge in detail with respect to the earlier four strategies. So far, when we are considering the broader section of the market, of the buyer's market, we were focusing for providing low cost, that is reducing the cost for price sensitive buyers. Buyers are not price sensitive, but they want to have a differentiated product. So we were focusing for differentiation strategy. If the same both are done for narrow buyers, which means they want to have some highlighted one. So in that case, we were focusing on focused low cost strategy and focused companies differentiation strategy. Now comes the important one where you have to provide the best for them. If you see this ground, you can find that it touches over here, it touches over here, it touches over here, and it touches over here. இங்க கொஞ்சம் அதிகமா டச் ஆகிடும் சொல்லாதீங்க. It touches over there. Okay? As a max student, if you see, இது அதிகமா டச் ஆயிருக்கும் மேம். வென் டயக்ராம் தான் போட்டீங்கன்னா வரும். Okay. Don't see in that angle, which means it touches all the features of all the four strategies. In that way, if you look, now come for this line. The new model of best cost provider strategy is a further development of the above three. It is directed toward giving customers more value for the money, emphasizing on both low cost and upscaling. Okay. And to keep costs and prices lower than those of the other sellers of comparable products in the highlight. You give customers more value. See, so far we are not thinking giving customers more value. We were saying giving ideal value. Please try to remember. Ideal wrong பண்ணிருந்தேன். We were not thinking about giving more value. இந்த காஸ்ட்டுக்கு எக்கச்சக்க வேல்யூ கிடைச்சா நல்லா இருக்கும்ல. அப்ப அப்படி வந்துச்சுன்னா we'll say this is best cost provider strategy. See, you provide with best cost. I pay 10 rupees and for any product and I get benefits for 10 rupees. Yes, I feel it's worth it. ஆமா 10 ரூபாய் பே பண்ணப்பா நல்லாதான் இருக்கு. I pay 10 rupees but I get 15 rupees worth product. See, you cannot measure this in terms of money. If you measure this in terms of money, it will look as if you're making a loss. You should not measure this in terms of money. நான் வாங்குறதுக்கு வந்து வாங்குறதை விட அதிகமான மதிப்பு இருக்குன்னு சொன்னீங்கன்னா that's what you call as best cost provider. Okay. So we are talking in terms, not in terms of monetary value, on their satisfaction. And whenever we go for this, we have to go for comparable products. This is the major drawback. நான் எப்படி இதை கம்பேர் பண்ணி பார்ப்பேன்? I'm buying 10 rupees here for product A from company A. I'm buying the same from 10 rupees from company B. The same product means I'm comparing company A and company B. அப்போ இவன் வந்து 1 rupee extra கொடுத்தாலும் I go for product A from company A only. Okay, so comparable products and you have to give customers more value. Doesn't stop over there. Let me clean the board. It's not stopping over there. Obviously, you have to see it touches over here, it touches over here, and not only here and here and here. Which means what? You're focusing on that. எல்லாரும் இது பண்ண முடியாது. You have to give proper focus. Another comparable products is over, and you have to keep it at cost and prices lower than those of the sellers. Okay, so it's a very important line. If this is asked for the exam, அடிப்பில்லாமல் எழுதுக. Okay, there is no other line to explain this one. These all four lines gives like vocabulary, code words மாதிரி இருக்கும். So you have to represent this one. Okay, so it was providing customers more value. That's the highlight over here. It's not ideal value. Ideal மாத்தி போட்டுறாதீங்க, strategy மாறிடும். It's more value by emphasizing on lower cost, better quality difference. How you can do it? Yes, please highlight. There are two ways you can do it. Offer products at lower price than what is being offered by rivals for products with comparable quality and features. Only when you compare only I will check for whether it's valuable or not. Now compare check matter. Okay, see, I buy toothpaste, Pepsodent or Colgate, whatever it is. Only if I compare only I'll get the value. Compare but only give me value with Solomon. இவனும் 10 ரூபாய் அவனும் 10 ரூபாய் வாங்கிட்டு போ. மெடிமிக்ஸ் பதிலா சிந்தால் வாங்கிட்டு போ. சின்ன பேக்கா இருந்தா பெரிய பேக்கா இருந்தா 2 நாள் தான் யூஸ் பண்ண போற, தூக்கி போட போறேன். முடிஞ்சது. ஓகே. And charging similar prices as by the rivals for products with much higher quality. Please highlight worth wise, value wise, you have to sense it, not by money wise. Money wise, 10 rupees means that's also 10 rupees. There should not be variation in the money. ஏன்னா product A is sold for 10 rupees, product B is sold for 11 rupees. Now, how I feel, okay, ஒரு ரூபாய் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா கொடுத்தா ப்ராடக்ட் B எனக்கு குவாலிட்டி கிடைக்குது. Similar prices has to be. So probably not exactly the value of money, probably a range of money can be mentioned, okay, but with much higher quality and better features. So they are just highlighting with Android flagship phones and all, like OnePlus, Xiaomi, இதெல்லாமே இருக்கு. How they are penetrating the market. Yes, we can go for Mahindra and Mahindra. So Mahindra is giving many options on SUVs. SUVs லாம் ஏன் இவ்வளோ மாடல், ஒரு 2 நாள் முன்னாடி தான் நினைச்சேன். It's going to introduce 7 more SUV models. SUVs சொல்லியாச்சு, அதுக்கு இதுக்கு 7 more models. அப்ப சின்னதா பார்த்தா ப்ராடக்ட் டிஃபரன்சியேஷன். ஓகே, பிகாஸ் யூ நீட் டு கெட் மோர் வேல்யூ. ஓகே, எனக்கு இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கணுமா இருக்கும், இருக்கும். அப்ப சின்ன சின்னதா வேரியேஷன். சி when you go about Android phones, எல்லாமே ஒரே கம்பெனி தான். OnePlus, Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo எல்லாம் ஒரே கம்பெனி தான். பட் they are giving some product differences. எனக்கு ஒரு அட்வான்டேஜ், எல்லாமே என்னோட எஸ்யூவிஸா இருந்துச்சுன்னா நான் இன்னொரு எஸ்யூவி இன்னொரு பிராண்ட்ல போய் கம்பேர் பண்ண மாட்டேன். ஐ கம்பேரிங் வித் மை ஓன் பிராண்ட். அதனால இந்த பிராண்டுக்கு பதிலா அந்த பிராண்ட் வாங்கினா என் பிராண்ட் தானே சேல் ஆகும். பியூட்டிஃபுல் இல்ல, அப்படி பண்ணிக்கிறது. ஓகே, this one. This is just activity based. You can please check how can you fill this landscape. Okay, so you can do it at your. So that's about the